Who knows the property we're sitting on right now? Like, there's a lot of St. George guys here, so some of you might know the history of this property. Who owned it originally? Who built it? Monty Holmes. It's called Homestead Ranch. Anybody know who Monty Holmes is? Or maybe recognize the last name? You know who he is, right? So he was neck and neck. He went back and forth. He's a little older than Ed Milet, but him and Ed Milet went neck and neck for top performers for World Financial Group for a long time. Made a shit ton of money, built this beautiful estate, mainly for his kids, but also his grandkids. When you guys get a chance to check out the property, and you will with some of the things that we're going to experience, he's got a petting zoo up here. He's got llamas. He's got goats. He's got all kinds of cool stuff. It's a really, I don't know the exact dollar amount, but I'll give you a quick story on where it sits now. Who's heard of Zappos shoes? Remember online? Maybe you bought something from them before. Haven't seen them in a long time, right? That was maybe, what, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago? So Zappos is a gentleman named Tony Hsieh. Tony Hsieh got bought out by Amazon. Zappos got bought out by Amazon. Does anybody know the number, roughly? Over $2 billion. He took an online shoe store, and he didn't have his own brand. He was like a middleman of the king of selling shoes, Zappos. We all know it. He sold it for $2 billion. So he was here, and he wanted to get there, and he had his big day. He had his big liquidation event. He sold his company for $2 billion to Amazon. And then what do you think happened? Huh? Yeah, there's a lot of stories around his death, so I definitely don't want to get into super details. I'm a former attorney. You'll learn that about me, so I don't want to pretend to know or like add facts to this, but there's a lot of controversy surrounding Mr. Tony Hsieh's death. He got big into plant medicine and some other things, and he basically, the story goes, he was, I don't know if it was upstairs, I know you could probably give me some more details on this, but he had a bunch of candles in a room. He was going through some like heavy meditative, like some stuff, right? And people quickly noticed that it was catching on fire. It was smoking the room he was in, and people ran up there to get him out, but he locked himself in. And maybe he locked himself in because that was just part of the experience, I don't know, and that's where the story gets weird. So did he commit suicide? What was he on at the time? Because he was undergoing a journey, a plant medicine journey. So there's stories that say suicide, some say OD, some say it was just a really, really shit accident. But the fact of the matter is, my man still had demons, he still had issues, and he had $2 billion in the bank. We know a lot of guys worth a lot of money. What if I told you the speaker you've heard so far and the few speakers coming up later are all 8-figure guys, some knocking on 9 figures? Does what comes out of Shane Scott's mouth mean more if I told you he's an 8-figure dude? Be honest. Show of hands. Does everything that just came out of that guy's mouth worth a little bit more because he's played the authority game and he's actually earned his shit? True or not true? What if it's not? What if he's just a dude up here experiencing his experience, trying to get you? He came up here and he went through his own experience. But as soon as we know somebody, and this is the 2 boxes everyone's trying to check: authority, right? Credibility to some degree. And if you really want to win, you know what the box that some of y'all are missing, and you're not going to get to the next level unless you check it? Some of you have it. Some of you have had one-on-ones and you have it already. 2 boxes you need to check to win in this financial game: authority and empathy. That's it. If someone believes that you can get them from A to B, whether it's with a product or a service, and then someone believes that you genuinely give a shit about whether they get from A to B, you win. How many of you guys feel that you're an empath by nature? Show of hands. You feel like you're pretty empathetic. You genuinely can feel what other people are feeling. My man Greg said earlier, he was struggling out there because he was more concerned about whether you're going to win and you're going to do it right, and are you going to fill your cup, and are you going to get your bucket done? And meanwhile, he's shit-talking himself the whole time. How many of you guys can relate to that? Some of you are here because the piece that you need to unlock is really simple. You need to learn to forgive yourself. Your kids, your spouse, your best friend can fuck up left, right, and center, and you hold space for them. And you have grace, and you have empathy, and it's okay. But you make the tiniest, smallest, minute misjudgment, miscalculation, and you mother F yourself for 2 weeks straight. True or not true? How does that guy get from A to B if we're still playing the game? I need to grab my clicker real quick, so I'm going to scoot through here. Is it right here? I thought I was going to steal Shane's, but we switched up.
Sometimes it's years.
Right?
Sometimes it's years of not forgiving yourself. It took me years.
Yeah. And until you unlock that, nothing changed for you. The same cycle over and over. And you don't even see it, because most of us are self-sabotaging in our subconscious. Your subconscious runs how much of your life? How much percentage of your day is ran by your subconscious mind? 95. That's a fact. Your subconscious, the average human being makes 30,000 decisions in a day. Some of those decisions are breathe. Some of them are left foot, right foot. Some are ball rolls out the street. I'm in a residential. Let me hover over the brake because the kid might be coming next. Some of those are just happening, right? For those of you who are older like me and you know how to drive a stick shift, a manual, like that becomes a subconscious behavior at some point. But the problem is your subconscious is running the whole show. Affirmations, I'm going to tell you right now, affirmations are bullshit. Incantations, affirmations with enough work, affirmations with the right action following the words on the Post-it on the mirror that you yell every day. Now, there's some truth to that. But trying to fight this battle of my conscious behavior, my I am statements, I'm awesome, I'm worthy, I'm crushing it, I'm killing it, I'm going to get there, I'm going to have the things, and yelling that in the mirror every morning and then going about your day, you just use 5% of your conscious mind to try to tell 95% of your subconscious mind how it's going to go. And then you wake up in 3 or 4 years and wonder why it's not moving, the needle's not moving, I'm not where I want to be. I want to hit this point real quick. I just actually added this slide while watching Shane speak. Is that line in there? This is something you want to write down. You do not see through your eyes. You see through your stories. Once you attach a story to a series of facts, to an experience, to a happening, once you attach a story to it, it becomes a new belief. I'm driving down the freeway, someone gets in front of me and they cut me off, I'm going 60, they get in front of me and they brake check me. And the belief I have and the story I have is this asshole wants to kill me. This asshole doesn't care, he's not a safe driver. He doesn't care about my well-being. F him, I'm gonna tap his bumper or I'm at least gonna ride him really hard because he had the nerve to do this to me. Very common, right? But what if the story is, we don't know. This guy's got a pregnant wife in the front seat, they got to get to the hospital. This is the only route that makes sense. I like safe driving. I'm going to go ahead and just back off and keep my distance. I'm not going to let my heart rate go up. I'm not going to mother F this guy. I'm not going to shake my fist. Because the story that I choose to attach myself to dictates then what? The actions I take. So let's use another one. The belief is I'm not good at job interviews. How do I show up to that job interview? What's the action I take? Yeah. Maybe I don't iron my nice suit to get the job. Or maybe I go pick out like a 3-piece special from Marshall's with the matching tie and the deal that you get for like $8, right? And I take it right out of the box and it's got the creases. Like I kind of half-ass it because I believe I'm not good at this anyway. And then I show up and I'm a little disheveled. I've got a resume that I haven't put on the right paper. It's a little crinkly maybe. It hasn't been updated. The resume itself is trash. I haven't put any real effort into this. So then what's the result? Do I get the job? And this is the scariest part. This is where it all gets scary. This is the gap. That's the gap that gets you. Because then what happens to my belief system around job interviews? I knew I wasn't good at job interviews. I fucking knew it. I suck at these. I can't seem to do it. I can't sell the pen. I don't interview well. If you tell me what are my attributes, I feel like I'm talking about myself and I just don't know how to convey that information, and so I shut down. So the belief is I'm not good. The action is I show up half-assed. The result is I don't get what I want. I don't get the job, which hammers home and strengthens the belief, and now confirmation bias sets in. Human beings are the only organism on this entire planet Earth that would rather be right than actually win. That's a fact. You are so married to being right, women will stay in a battered women syndrome. They will stay in that relationship because it's predictable behavior to get hit over the head when you get out of line. You say the wrong thing and the guy hits you, but that's predictable. That's comfortable. If I go and I try something new, I don't know what that looks like. So I don't really know what it maybe looks like to experience a win. So I'm going to stay in this shit relationship because the belief is maybe I've told myself I deserve it. And the action is I keep pushing the launch sequence. Every woman in here knows how to push their man's launch sequence, like every button in every order to get him to erupt. I'm going to teach you guys how to not have that happen ever again. I'll give you a quick book reco. Every time we drop a book reco, for the record, I saw some of you feverishly writing when Shane Scott was doing his thing. Anybody who steps on my stage, you will get access to their slide deck. So you'll see all that like in a nice, cute, whatever format you saw it on, we'll get it to you in the workplace app. So I'm a firm believer in like, it's hard to truly be present and experience Shane Scott if you're feverishly trying to get it all on paper. So you have access to everything you see. Also, if I drop a book reco, I know it's hard to try and keep up with those or go on Amazon right now or go on Audible and grab it. So we'll drop that in the chat as well. Cool? So one book reco for some of you guys that aren't showing up right for your wives is No More Mr. Nice Guy. I've recommended that book to probably 100 men, and I've had 50 or 60 text me within a week and say, this book was written about me for me. That's how powerful it is. So who here wants to try to be brave and give me a belief right now that they feel may not be serving them?
When I try it 100%, I'm just going to fail anyway, so why try?
Okay. So the belief is?
That when I've done things in the past at 100%, I failed anyway.
Okay. So let's try to boil that down. So what do you believe about yourself as a result of that behavior? Belief is I'm not good enough? Unworthy? Possibly?
Belief is what's the point?
Okay. So the belief is what the point, so that's an easy one. So then how are you showing up? Are you even showing up at 100% out of your own mouth right now? Probably not.
At the moment,
Yeah. And then if you don't show up 100%, what's the result?
it reinforces the belief.
Yeah, the result is you don't get what you want, which then goes, I knew it. Even when I give 100%, it's not good enough. Why bother? How many people have been stuck in that loop before? To some degree, on some level. And this loop is showing up in other areas of your life I'd have you consider. It's called the Pygmalion effect, or the self-fulfilling prophecy you may have heard it called. But in the science world where I live, it's called the Pygmalion effect. So PYG, if you want to write it down, Pygmalion effect is this concept right here where you are literally perpetuating your own story, your own destiny as a result of how you're showing up. And you're showing up a certain way because you're so married to these stories that don't serve you. And this is where I lose most men. You have the power to change your story at any time, at any moment. Who else has one? Maybe we'll attach a new story to that in a second. Go ahead.
It's hard for musicians to make money.
Okay? So that's the belief. The belief is it's hard for musicians to make money. So how do you act as a result?
Settle for whatever God I'm
Maybe you don't go all in, right? Maybe you don't seek the big jobs. Maybe you don't.
maybe I'm okay with the low-paying job because that's just what it is.
Yeah. So you're settling for essentially scarcity. Yeah. Which then hammers home the fact that, well, I know we've talked, you're a pianist. My man is like a master piano player. So like it's taking piano from a potential modification, right? So you can actually maybe actually monetize this thing and win, to like, it's just my hobby, it's my passion, it's something I do. And then I bet at times you may feel guilty doing it because you have a household, you have a wife, you have babies that you have to provide for. And when you're playing the piano and it's not making any money and it's not paying the mortgage, now you have to feel guilty,
Yeah,
which is either affecting how you're playing the piano or maybe the actual playing of the piano itself. Are you even showing up and touching it anymore? Not as much as you'd like to?
yeah. I mean, mostly I just keep piano
Okay.
and I don't touch it as much as I used to.
So is the story then teaching music doesn't pay enough? Pay well?
I think it's all kind of
In the same bucket?
I think part of that story is that, you know, people expect education to be free, you know? That's one that I have to battle a lot.
Rule number 4. Second T. Who said it? Oh, you don't count. You do, but he's a halfer, guys. He counts. I don't want to beat him up. He's been to an event before, and so he's like, he helps. But no, okay, so take care of your brother. Who wants to take care of my man here and actually give him what could be a new story to adopt? A new belief? Who wants to try and do this? Put me out of a job. Come on. So the belief is, right, music doesn't pay enough, right? Go ahead.
What exactly are you asking? Like, how can I help him?
Yeah, what is a new story that you could have him adopt? Like, challenge him right now. What if the story was this, right? And it's going to be hard. He's not just going to latch onto it. But I want you guys to start considering new possibilities. And what I really want you to grasp is the fact that you have ultimate control over what narrative you play. And when you realize that and you start playing stories that serve you, it's a whole new game.
I I think people with skills like yourself, if you broaden the reality of like what we have online, um, so many people in the world want to learn a specific skill. If they want to learn piano, they're searching online first, I would assume. And so you have a whole world basically to market to if you went digital.
Okay, so he's challenging your beliefs. So let's narrow it on your beliefs. So maybe your belief is teaching locally in St. George kids how to play piano is not paying them, doesn't pay enough. Whereas he's saying, okay, cool, let's have a little shift here and say, why don't we think globally? Because there's enough money, there's enough people interested in learning piano to your level for sure, right? So then what if you adopt the belief system that I'm no longer going to just teach face-to-face young kids in St. George. I'm going to build courses. I'm going to go online. I'm going to go crazy with this. And I'm going to brand myself to the degree that like everybody wants my piano lessons. Is that a story that you could get behind?
I can shatter your story of actual practicality. I've got a client that pays me $10,000 a month who's a classically trained pianist who has a school that does $750,000 a year with 35% of the net. He's opening up school 2 and 3. We're taking this to a global franchise that'll be worth 9 figures, all with the classic pianist. But she had a story that she couldn't get me on location. And so we had to shatter that story. She had a story that she wasn't invested in. We had to shatter that story, right? The reason why you're in rooms like this with men like this and all the other men is to shatter that story. Permission through proximity of other men who've been there just a little bit further ahead of you. And can hold a mirror and show you the value that you truly have inside. This girl's 32 years old. She slept in her fucking attic inside her first office for 2 years to make it happen. And she left that out of the pitch deck, and I told her she barely got out of the pitch deck because it's the business woman and business man, not just the business plan. And if I'm an investor, which I am, I want to invest in that fucking person all goddamn day. And someone who just can handle it, right?
So I'd have you consider this is the exact reason you came here. For him to tell you what's possible and for him to tell you that it's a reality and it's happening right now. Like this little triangle could be the only reason you were supposed to come this next, I don't know, right? Don't walk away, just keep hanging out, right? But this is the power of these rooms. It's like if you don't share it, first of all, and it starts with you, you have to be vulnerable enough to say like, hey, I'm battling a story that's affecting my finances, which is like, I'm very passionate about piano, but it's not really, I'm not getting to the level of success that I hope for, et cetera. And he's like, my man, quit teaching kids right here, go online. And I'm sure I'm sure it's crossed your mind. I'd be ignorant to think that it hasn't. But if enough people give you permission, and then this guy shows you exact backed out reverse engineered numbers of how someone's done it already, now you've got tons of permission. You have no choice but to explore this, have a conversation with him, which stemmed from a concept from him, which stemmed from you saying, you know what, enough's enough. This story doesn't effing serve me. I want a new one, right? So let's come back to yours. Even at 100%, it's not working, so why even try? So who wants to help this man right here? Take care of your brother. Rule number 4. That was beautiful, by the way, because that opened the door for that to happen, right? So I appreciate that. And it is just a little perspective shift. Who wants to help this man adopt a new story? Don't be scared. Eric.
Sometimes the best isn't good enough.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not about doing your best, it's about getting the job done. So if you need to get the job done, then you need to become better in order to get it done. And sometimes you're not that person right now.
Let's stay on that one. That's powerful. So this brings in some Shane Scott stuff. Like you have to be willing to accept the fact that your best may not be good enough. True or not true? Right? But what if you reframe it and just say, look, it's really just about completion. And then I'm okay to accept even at completion, maybe it wasn't the result that I ultimately wanted. But it's massive feedback. The feedback was I went 110, or 100%. I got it to completion. It turns out this is not my jam. Let's go explore something else. Because until you go through that, you don't get to go back off and say, let's take that feedback and just sit with it. Don't judge it. It doesn't feel too good to still not win, even though you gave 100%. But it's not about judging that. It's about just sitting with that and saying, maybe this isn't the thing I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe God's got a bigger plan for you. Who else has a story that's not serving them? That's not the answer right this second, but you see where I'm going with it, right? Yeah, I appreciate you sharing, by the way, because it's not easy. It's not easy.
For me, the story has been every single time I've tried, that's been something that has been reinforced over and over and over as I'm thinking about this cycle that's been happening since I was young. I've dealt with an addiction that has, religious background and stuff, that's what we were talking about earlier at home. But, you know, I've always thought that I needed to be somewhere else.
Did you stop the addiction?
The addiction is still there.
Okay. Do you feel that every day you wake up, you've won?
Say that again.
Do you feel every single day that you wake up and then put your head back on the pillow, you've won against that addiction? Even just for that day, for that moment?
Right now, yes.
So then is it true or not true that everything you do, you fail?
It's not true.
Right? And you're so married to that story that you have actual results showing up every single day in real life, and you refuse not to believe them. Because confirmation bias says you need to believe this other story over here. Even though there's facts screaming at you. Again, battered women, she's getting hit. All her friends are saying, leave them. It's not where you need to be. But she's going to sell herself any version of any story that says, this is exactly where I need to be. I deserve this behavior. This is just how men are. That's how he was raised. He doesn't know any better. I knew he had a short temper when I married him. Because it feels good to have predictable outcomes, even if the predictable outcome doesn't serve us. We would rather actually be right than maybe experience a win. Because when we go out to risk a win, what do we also risk? Big ol' L. There are no losses. Shake that word from your vocab. There are no losses, there are only lessons. The scariest thing about a lesson is it will continue to show up over and over and over until you actually learn the lesson that behavior is trying to show you. If you want to go God, God's trying to show you. My man, I keep telling you this ain't the route. Bap! My man, knock it off. Bap! Right? And so you're taking L's because you haven't learned the lesson. You know what a mistake is? It's not even a mistake unless you miss the takeaway. Unless you miss the opportunity to take something valuable from that experience and quit fucking up. Then you've made a mistake. Then you can that's the closest I'll let you get to the word loss. You have made a mistake because you miss an opportunity to take something valuable from that. And quit doing it, or maybe repeat it. Maybe it's positive behavior. There's still a takeaway there. And when we miss the opportunity to take something away from that behavior, it will continue to show up in perpetuity. 100% of the time, I promise you that. So let's go back to that. What's the story again? Repeat it.
Whenever I go over something I don't want, I fail.
Okay. What's your pickleball background? Everyone's laughing because I'm blowing your story out of the water right here. The guy said, is this guy one of the best pickleball players in this room, or in the state of Utah, true or not true? True. That's a fact. You're so married to that shit because that's not the real story. We've had conversations. I know this is difficult for you. The real story is much deeper than that. That's what we're going to get to in the next 2.5 days if you let me. Because when we fix that, when we make that little tweak, that little paradigm shift, it's over. Whatever pickleball Phil, by the way, wants, he gets. The end. All right, I'm a big car guy. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I have a whole entire talk called Suck, Squeeze, Bang, Blow. Who thinks that's offensive? It's fun. I have a whole talk, and it's a bright red screen, and people pay me to go to their office and teach this, and there's 4 words on a screen. Suck, squeeze, bang, and blow. Get your minds out of the gutter. I just described for you in 4 small words how an internal combustion engine works, and I've also described how your entire business works. What do you think suck represents in the world of business? Marketing, advertising, sucking clients into your message. Then you squeeze them. I don't like this term, but it works with the combustion engine, so bear with me. Then you got to squeeze what out of them? You got to convert, you got to sell. So we've got marketing is suck. Then you got to squeeze money, so you got to convert that marketing strategy to a sale. Then you got to deliver. That's the bang. And then where a lot of people mess up is then you got to blow the excess out the back of the motor so it stays healthy and it can continue this cycle. And that's how the car actually moves forward after the bang. And that is your referrals, your follow-up, affiliate programs. It's the end of the customer experience because a lot of us are still grabbing Ms. Jones and we're getting $1 out of her and then we're never talking to her again. People are 80% more likely to repurchase from someone that they already know, like, and trust. And they know, like, and trust someone that they've done business with in the past. especially if it's been successful. So for those of you that aren't readdressing your current clientele, and if you don't have anything new to sell them, you should at least be looking at their customer experience and encouraging them to go out in the marketplace and tell more people about how awesome that experience was. So that's suck, squeeze, bang, blow. That's business 101. Done. Some of you are going to blow your motor because you don't know how to attract clients. So you're over here trying to combust. It's an internal combustion engine. That's the bang. You want to sell, but you don't have enough people coming through the door. You don't have a predictable flow. Your motor's about to be done. Some of you are really good at drawing people in, but you can't close to save your life. Now your engine's really done because now it's running too rich. You've got too much air and gas coming in, but you don't know how to squeeze it and make the combustion to then push it out the back door through the deliverable and the referral. Your motor's going to blow. These are 4 simple words, 4 simple concepts. This is how we've taken 13 guys to 7 figures in the last year and a half. These are really business. This is the reason I'm bringing it down and diluting it to such simple shit. Business is easy. As men and women, I apologize, you can hear this a lot from me because it's who I coach, and I know the male mind a lot, obviously. I'm a man, check it out. We overcomplicate everything. Because another thing that happens when we overcomplicate it is, now we have a reason why we don't win. That guy knows something I don't know. That guy has the blueprint or the hack or the steps to success or the marketing strategy, or he has just this gift to gab. He has something I don't have. This is really difficult. Not everybody gets it. Permission to fail. So this concept we created called Car and Driver, this is the entire premise to what we're going to go over the next couple of days. This is why this mastermind, and I absolutely hate that word, this is why this container is so much different. How many, raise your hand if you've been to a mastermind before, ever in the past. Cool, I like that. I think you should go to 10 before you come hang out with me. So, this is you. Who's got a startup? I know you're in startup mode. Who else is in a startup? You're doing the startup, right, for meal prep, right? Anybody else in like startup mode or consider themselves startup? Startup? Cool. So this is you. You got your Marshalls 2-for-1 shirt or whatever I described earlier, Ross, whatever they do nowadays. This is your sweet business. You can't afford much. You got a panel van. You're going to deliver your meal prep live. Who knows, right? But this represents your company in its current state. This is the crazy track that you're going to try to navigate to get from A to B, to get to 50 million in net worth, to sell it in 5 years, maybe just to get it sustainable so you can pay your mortgage. I don't know. But you have a track that you need to navigate called the marketplace, called customers, called sales. Like there's a track, and there's going to be a lot of twists and turns. So, and your ultimate goal is to get there. You in your current state with the current marketplace, how many of you guys are going to win? Show of hands. This isn't a belief system. This is just like reality right now. Logically, how many people in here? Would you be in here if you had business figured out? Probably not. And maybe you have 92% of it figured out. Maybe you have a lot of it figured out. Maybe you're already crushing it. You just don't really know how to get to that next level. What does 8 figures look like, Nick? What is, right? I know you're crushing it, right? But it's new levels, new devils. Some of you aren't ready for 7, 8 figures. The end. So let's do this. Let's say this particular driver represents Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. Give me another one. Who's another business killer? Mark Cuban. So if I take Mark Cuban right now and I put him in your business, and I tell him to navigate the same ups and downs, and your business is still shit right now, just starting off, or maybe it's just not where you want it to be, do you think he's going to get to the finish line? And by the way, this is an important preface. Not Mark Cuban's money, not Elon's money, not Jeff Bezos' money. Just their mindset, just who they are at their core, who they are. Will they get there? Was that a doubt? Was that a doubtful shrug? I saw one doubt because I need a full yes there. Do you think they'll get there? Yeah, okay. I'm not calling you out. I'm just making sure. I need 100% from the room or I'll lose my mind. So yeah, quick answer is yes. Why? What does Tesla represent? What does Amazon represent? What are the Dallas Mavericks and the million other things that Mark Cuban has his money in? Like they've built this crazy car. They're used to building big shit. So all they know is to take your little panel van and build something massive, i.e. take your business from baby revenue numbers, maybe 100K a year to 2 million a year overnight. Because they only operate in that world right there. They drive bad cars. They drive big business. They have big vision. And they know how to get it done. Now let's turn it around. I dump you two. You guys have the startup together, right?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. This is fun. You two. I didn't set up the seating this way, but this is fun. I jump you two in Amazon. I pull Jeff Bezos out. I say, hey, go help them start up their gym thing. And they're going to switch with you. What happens to Amazon? I need to hear from these guys. It does what? They're not going to cuss. So it goes to shiz. I know some of who I'm dealing with here. Right? The reality is simple. You burn that thing down so fast. You're not ready for it. So then my question to you is this. For those of you that raise your hand that have been to all these masterminds, why on earth is everybody looking for instructions on how to build the race car, the Ferrari, the F1? Like, how do we build the next Amazon? Everybody wants a blueprint, a hack, a shortcut, a framework, a sales script, a marketing funnel, bro, GHL automations, AI. Everybody wants that shit. That's why we come to these things. Because somehow there is some secret sauce that gets me from here to Bezos money. Bullshit. You guys know who I said Ed Milet earlier? You know Ed Milet and Andy Frisella? Right? 75 Hard, Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. They have a mastermind called Arte. It's called Arte. So I know these guys somewhat. Spoke with Milet a couple years ago. I've never met Frisella, but some of my coaches are sponsored by First Form, so someday it'll happen. That being said, Arte comes to town. I live in Nashville. 2,300 people touch down, and they pay on average $600 to go to a 4-hour event. Milet spoke for an hour. Frisella spoke for an hour. Anybody ever read 48 Laws of Power? Robert Greene? Robert Greene spoke for an hour. If you've ever seen Robert Greene, he's about 7 minutes away from Stephen Hawking. No offense, but I don't know how the guy even gets up and speaks. He has like a full-blown cane, and he put everyone to sleep. The book is insane. The book is great. The book is just 40 years old. So the fact that he's still out there teaching it is just mind-blowing. And then there was a gentleman who's heard the coffee bean talk. I don't remember his name, which sucks because he was actually a good speaker. Yeah, so from Texas, I can't remember. Yeah, so he spoke. So 4 people spoke, 2,300 people there. They collected about $6 million. And so then the next time they came to town, I took my wife, and we started talking to these people, because you see the same people at the same masterminds all the effing time. They all just want to go so they can get a selfie, or they can shoot a picture, or do a reel, or TikTok, or what the fuck it is, and they want to say that they were at this thing with Milet and Frisella. And what they're waiting for is for them to, and some of these frameworks, by the way, are actually pretty sound. Some of the things that they're selling from stage. So then I talked to about 40 or 50 different people. I was there for 5-6 hours. As many people as I could talk to. Hey, you were at the last one. Are you winning? Guess how many were winning? Guess how many were actually moving the needle? Zero. It wasn't even like I was hoping for 1 or 2. Again, I only talked to 40 or 50 of the 2,300, so there's probably some winners out there. But I think that's a good enough population chunk to realize that going and getting the next new thing. Here's the facts. I can drop right now on everybody's little desk right now an 8-figure blueprint. And then I can show that I've taken 3 guys there with that same blueprint. And I can just send you guys off, and we can all come back in a year. What do you think is going to happen? Maybe one person will execute. Because maybe one person was ready to consume that data and put it to work and not have a self-sabotaging or fucked up behavior, or their house is burning down, or they're addicted to porn, or they think cocaine is the way. Maybe they're just addicted to work. Some of you think you don't have an addiction because you're workaholics. Some of you think, well, I don't gamble, bro. I don't even drink coffee. I don't step out on my wife. I don't drink. I don't do any of that shit. I'm the man. But I work 16, 17 hours because that's my form of sedation, so I don't have to actually go home and face my 4 walls, because I don't really like who I am in that place, because they don't see me as King Kong inside of those 4 walls. But when I step out, I'm the fucking man, because I'm earning and burning. So I'm going to do everything I can to earn as much money, because I've tied my self-worth to my net worth. And maybe I get there. I did it. I've seen a lot of guys get there. Maybe I get there. Maybe I get to 7, 8 figures. I got to 7 figures passive. Woke up every morning, didn't even have to breathe, and I was making over $1 million a year. And I burned it all to the ground 2 different times. Why do you think that is? Who wants to take a stab at that? Great answer. You can go further than that. Go ahead. Yeah. New levels, new devils. I wasn't ready for that devil. Simple as. You think God's going to give me another 7 or 8 figures when I've shown to be a poor steward of the money I have now? I'm not ready for it. Why on earth would he give me that opportunity? But I just want the next thing and the new thing and the FOMO and the shiny object, and that guy's doing what? What are the margins there? Let me try that. Let me go to the next mastermind. Let me get the hack. Let me get the thing. Let me build the fucking race car. Meanwhile, I know I'm not the driver to even make turn 2. I will crash and burn this thing. I will sabotage every way possible. And so the difference in what we've built here, I'll have you guys look at this in a second, is like we literally build drivers. We build the person necessary to actually, when I lay something at your feet, and you'll meet some of the guys at the next level. Again, we've got some 8 and 9-figure guys in the room today, and they will talk about what's possible when you're ready to play that game. And you can be ready tomorrow, you can be ready in a week. Some of you might be ready now. But I have you consider that you want that so effing bad, and the more you try to hold on to it and control it, Shane Scott stepped out of the room, right? The more you need to learn to surrender, and then it actually starts to happen. Who thinks that's the craziest concept ever, that paradox that Shane Scott put out there? How many control freaks do I have in the house? I still am. I struggle with it all the time. I'm running the tech, I'm doing everything. And I have a staff of like 9 here. And I walked over 4 times while you guys were listening to Shane to make sure that Chase knew exactly what to say, when to say it, how to do it. And I still yelled at him when you guys went on your walk and talk. I struggle. I want you guys to take a minute. You have a journal. First thing I want you to do is take your journal to your very first page. So open it up to like, you just opened it up, not even page 1. There's those 5 lines right there. All right, where's my geniuses at? Or did someone skip ahead and write their name like if lost, return to? Oh, you wrote a name at least. I like that. All right. That's good. That's okay. Who wants to take a guess at what 5 things go on that line? Woo! Cool. So I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes, and you could cheat with your neighbor. You can even look inside the app if you have your phones. I don't know if these guys gave you your phones back, but I'm going to give you a couple minutes to write down the code as best as you can. If you need help, take care of your brother. Ask somebody. 3, 2, 1, off you go. 3 minutes to write the code down. Let's see who was listening. I'll send you this list, but I do want you just for a second to think about some ways and some stories that are showing up for you that are possibly stopping you from getting to the next level. So I'll run through a few of these. This is a big one for some of you perfectionists. This is me sometimes, and it was me for a long time. Some of you are just scared to even launch the thing. How long have you been thinking about doing the food business? 4 years. 4 years. Right? So you were stuck on go, failure to launch. What was the story holding you back? Yeah. Who am I to start a business? Are people going to like my product? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. One of the biggest things that stops people from launching is fear of what everyone else is going to think about their product or service. And they've created all of these stories, none of which are true, but they're so married to them, it just keeps them there. You know, there's only 2. I'm a big F word guy. I promised Eric I would keep the F word semi-minimized out here in St. George, but we'll see how that goes. And you've seen some of our stuff, so faith, family, fitness, finance, faith, family, fitness, finance. When you get to some of our other stuff, we've got things like facts, focus, future, freedom. My favorite F word is feedback, but I'm going to give you 2 more that control your entire existence. And you've heard these a million times. Faith and fear. That's it. Every single decision you make for the rest of your life is either rooted in faith or fear. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm so effing scared of how it might happen, I'm not going to give it a go. That's it. You're either taking a step forward or a step backwards based on your attachment to those 2 F words. And fear, analysis paralysis, which is failure to launch, I analyzed it to death, and I have so many stories around it that I'm paralyzed now. I'm not even going to make the next move. I don't even can read some of these. Lack of resources is crucial. I think you guys have probably heard this stat before, especially my young entrepreneurs. The average business goes under in less than 2 years, and the main reason is lack of capital, lack of funding. Got some guys in their back room that will teach you how to master money, how to go out and find money. Who here, if you came to me for your first one-on-one, I said, man, you're going to need about $300K to get this thing to the next level. How many of you would just shut down? It's tough. How many of you would know to go find 300 grand in less than 30 days, no problem? And actually service that debt comfortably and keep scaling your company? How many of you would just have the balls to do it? Even if you knew on paper, everything penciled, and it was like, that's a no-brainer. I'll borrow $300K, I'll get it at 20 years, I'll get it at this rate, this is what it looks like, this is what it's gonna do for my cash flow analysis. It's a no-brainer. I ain't fucking doing it. That's debt. That's frightening. I was taught my whole life you don't do debt. I was taught my whole life clip coupons. I was taught my whole life just stay right here in this little blue-collar game and don't ever leap. So even though it pencils and everything makes sense, and I've got all these advisors and people telling me, and I have access to the capital, I get anybody in here. I get anybody here $3 million in 30 days. No problem. Tomorrow, let's go. If it pencils and you're not scared. But fear will keep most of you from taking that check. So capital is crucial. We figured out that game because we know that's why most people fail. Imposter syndrome is the biggest one. Ego, the most powerful question that Shane Scott asked that drove me nuts back there. He asked you guys, how many of you guys are wrestling with your ego or dealing with your ego? You know how many people raised their hand? 4. You know how many people didn't raise their hand what they're wrestling with? Ego. Yeah. If you didn't raise your hand, it's because your ego told you not to. The end. I don't care how spiritually enlightened you are. I don't care what level of consciousness you think you have. You hang out with the Buddhas and the monks in Tibet. If you did not raise your hand when he asked about your ego, it was your ego that stopped you from raising your hand. Just remember that. And I'm not here to judge that. I'm saying that's okay, but recognize it. Your ego is not your amigo. I got friends in here. I love you. My favorite thing, so I think I'm cool because I'm a white boy who speaks fluent Spanish, but I never been on a mission. I was raised Roman Catholic. And every time I come to St. George, I hear all these white boys speaking like Portuguese, like all this shit. And I'm like so blown away because it's so good. And then I'm like, Eric in town had explained it to me. Town speaks fluent Spanish. That's how we met. We met in Cancun and then we went to Belize together. And we're just having Spanish back and forth. I was like, this is weird. I thought I was the only cool one. So I just want to recognize all you guys who took on 2 or 3 languages because you were told to. It's so impressive that most of you guys can speak a few languages. Someone say something? Oh, you hit me some Italian? Grazie. Yeah, prego. I like that. Oh, you're Spanish. Gotcha. I thought it was grazie for a second. I was going to get excited. I'm obsessed with all things Italian. So like it's a big thing in my house. And I was a lawyer for a long time, so they forced us to learn Latin. So poor leadership, that's probably one of the biggest ones. Poor health, not probably a huge issue in this room, but some of you know who you are. You have one vessel to get you through this thing. It's not about being jacked, bro, and lifting heavy shit and having abs and dying at 40 in a clear casket because you did so much juice, but you're fucking jacked. Get out of here. It's about weaponizing that body. It's about working 16 hours a day, right? It's going to happen. You're going to hit those seasons, but then can you come home and just be present with the babies and play kickball and football and go to the, can you do that? I did bodybuilding forever. That was my life. I'm still heavyweight. I'm 240. I'm 5'11". That's all I did. But the pro card, got people their pro cards like I was a bodybuilder. That was my thing. And then my son got old enough to actually play soccer like legit with me and hang, and I couldn't even kick a ball for more than like 4 minutes without just putting a lung on the ground. So the last 4 or 5 years for me have been CrossFit, all functional training. It hasn't been about looking cool. It's about being functional, and it's about trying to add a few years to my life because I think I took a few away playing that game. But some of you possibly still stuck in the vanity metric. So your health will stop you from getting ultimately where you want to be. I'll get into these real quick. Burnout's crucial. CEO plus, raise your hand if you wear more than one hat in your organization. I still do. Cool. That's CEO plus. Inability to delegate. There's a rule out there. If somebody can do it 80%, it's supposed to be 70, but I don't believe in that. If someone can do something 80% as good as you need to let it go. You want to know why you're not letting it go? Three-letter word we just yelled about. Ego. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Your ego won't let it. You could do it better. You don't need these people. Why'd you hire all these people? You just got to look over it and redo it, and you can do it better anyway. Why do I want to put something off my plate onto yours? I'm just going to take it back and do it better anyway. Chase left the room, but he'll tell you, oh, there he is. How many times have I done that to you? Yeah, that's our relationship. Hey, Chase, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, I'm just going to take it from you and redo it myself. I've been in this game a long time. I've done a few 8-figure businesses, and I still do it. So, like, if you're doing it, that's okay. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to say, how can we start to step out of that? And know that it's still going to rear its ugly head and it's still going to come back. But it's going to stop you from getting to the next level. So we're going to go on a quick walk and talk. I'm going to whiz through these because we're pressed for time, and I always, at my own events, get the least stage time because that's how it works. The businessman versus the business plan. So there's some coaches here. You guys have probably met all of them. Obviously, I play 2 roles, so you'll see this in a second. Chase, Christian, Hudson, Nick South, and Eric. These guys build the man. We've got specialists in each F. We've got a faith coach. We've got a family coach. We've got a fitness coach. I'm usually the finance coach, but do not get it twisted. Chase and Hudson in the last 90 days have helped my members make more money than I have. And I'm supposed to be the one because they have some particular skill set. So obviously, in order to even step on my stage, you have to be a male entrepreneur married with kids so you can speak to all of these crazy things that we deal with. And even though they are our resident like fitness and family coach, they do very well on the business side and they can bring those skills into your world. So interestingly enough, we wear a lot of hats, but they do have a specialty. So those are my builders of the man. These guys, we have one here. This is my mentor for the last 5 years. You'll get a chance to hear him speak. And then we have a couple other gentlemen, one of which has personally sold over 100 companies. He just buys and sells businesses for a living. He sold over 100 of those in the last 2 years. And then we have so this is If you need access to cash, this is where it comes from. If you need access to structure and how to actually get this thing to the next level, like 8 figures and beyond, we have this guy in the back pocket. And then tech, which you'll learn about later, maybe from Mr. Long, we'll see. If you add tech to any company, instantly worth infinitely more. And it could be as simple as adding like a corny little app. Like you could go through passion.io or something and you could just add an app that's proprietary to your company and instantly increase the valuation of that company. So obviously we go a little further with that. Mr. Abhi Golar, he's out of Atlanta area, but he has a complete tech team in India and in Silicon Valley. And some companies, all we got to do is add a little tech. And some of you are saying, I can't afford that. It costs $1 million to build an app. It costs all this. No, you can get an app built for less than 40 grand. And all of a sudden your business is worth 400 grand more. And so on and so forth. So these are things we'll get into and we'll learn. But I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about the program. You'll hear a little bit about my story in a second. Coaches, if I could get you at the door, we're going to do another quick walk and talk. I want you guys to take another hot lap, get some energy back. And I just want you to talk about what you took away either from my talk or maybe another if you want to continue on what you got from Shane Scott. Clear?